Hello, my name is Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. This is my review of The Orville Season 3, Episode 1. I'm going to be doing an episode-by-episode review. I might get around to doing a retro review of the first two seasons eventually when I rewatch them, probably later this year. Only in this first episode review, I'm not going to go over the background details for the whole show. So in case anyone's brand new, doesn't know who the characters are or whatever, otherwise it'd be supposed to comment on things and not get into detailed explanations of why this character did whatever they did. Now, the way I'm going to handle this is I'm going to do kind of light to medium spoilers because it's really impossible to discuss this episode and episodes of this show without doing spoilers. It's just, it's just there's no way to avoid it. So I'm gonna do like 50% style spoilers where I talk about stuff in the first part of the episode, to maybe 2/3 of the way through, and then I'll stop with spoilers. And in my next episode review, I'll open with a brief follow-up to that. And again, same with the production elements. I'm going to make some comments about the production, but then unless there's something exceptional to point out or a problem or there's a big change, I won't mention that for the following episode. So this will be a longer episode, maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then each episode after is probably like a 5 to 8 minute type of thing. So what is The Orville? The Orville is a science fiction show with comedic and serious elements created and run by Seth MacFarlane. Seth wanted to basically do a show like Star Trek and Star Trek The Next Generation. Fox wanted him to do it, but with Family Guy style comedy. Seth sort of fooled them by making the first 3 to 5 episodes with heavy comedy, and then pretty much started drastically toning it down. Those of us who stuck it through found something as good as any other top level Star Trek show ever. And the advice to the newcomer is just suck it up for the first 2 episodes, because once Seth has total control, it becomes great. From season 2 and onwards, Seth MacFarlane's production company took over The Orville completely. So whereas the first season was him doing the show under contract for Fox, now he always owned the show, but he had a contract where it was paid work for them. Now his production company did the show and was paid by Fox to produce and the distribute on the network. And that's how it was for season 2 and then season 3, which made him a lot of money because after season 2. Seth's general deal with Fox came up, for the renewal, and he not only had Family Guy as a major product that they wanted and would pay money for, but he had another significant show in the Orville. So if you read the articles, he got a big pay increase, for his company, so to speak. The show stars Seth MacFarlane as Captain Ed Mercer. Ed was now I'm giving you the background starting from the beginning of the show. Okay. Ed was a fast-rising star in the military of the Planetary Union. Then, due to divorce from his wife of many years, he became depressed, his work suffered, began drinking too much. This went on for about a year. His fast-track career went into the toilet bowl. However, due to a combination of reasons, he was given the command as a last-ditch chance of a mid-tier exploration vessel, the Orville. Adrienne Palicki plays Commander Kelly Grayson. That's Ed's ex-wife. She and Ed reconciled their differences, and she was the cause of the divorce outright. I won't say it, and agreed to remain friends as they have an excellent working relationship. Penny Gerald plays Dr. Claire Finn, the chief medical officer of the Orville. She's a lieutenant commander. Her areas of expertise are molecular surgery, DNA engineering, and psychology. DNA engineering is one thing. She has 2 kids who are reoccurring characters. Kai Wenner plays Ty Finn, the younger son, and B.J. Tanner plays Marcus Finn, the older son. Scott Grimes plays Lieutenant Gordon Malloy. Malloy is Mercer's best friend. He's also the helmsman of the Orville and an elite pilot, considered one of the best, if not the best, in the Union. This character is the most improved. Basically, when they cut the humor down a lot, this character was the most drastically improved. He was very annoying at first, and he became a sort of go-to, like, you love this guy character after they got the right tone of the show settled down. Peter Macon plays Lieutenant Commander Bordas, the second officer. He's from the planet Moklas. And I mentioned this because it's a reoccurring theme in the first 2 seasons, Moklas and its nature. Moklas is the primary industrial supplier of weapons and heavy industry products for the Union until some events in season 2. He comes from a world that more or less has only males. His spouse is Clyden, a reoccurring character played by Chad Coleman. Clyden and Bordas have a very young child. For season 1 and part of season 2, Halston Stage played the chief security Alara Katan. She's from the planet Exelia or Zala. I've never got the pronunciation of that down correctly. I know they say it all the time. I just don't get it down. a high-gravity world that provides humans there with greater than human physical abilities, particularly strength. The character resigned her post when she discovered that she was losing her superhuman strength and would never be able to return to her home if it faded. So she returned home to be with her family and regained her abilities. Now, in reality, she left the show because she got an offer for a lead role on a TV series called Prodigal Son. And the first maybe 6 episodes of that are excellent. Then it kind of devolves after that. Anyway, the show has been canceled after the 2021 season, so we went for 3 seasons. So hopefully she'll return at least on a recurring basis for Catan, because she was an excellent character. Jessica Zor replaced her, playing another Xiaolin character as the chief of security, Lieutenant Tala Kali. Jay Lee plays Lieutenant Commander John Lamar, the chief of engineering. Now, he began as a lieutenant and was the chief navigator for the Orville in the first season. Mark Jackson plays Isaac, the Orville science and engineering officer. Isaac is the most unique character on the show so far. Isaac's a Kaelon, a species of completely inorganic androids with super advanced technology and initially isolationist tendencies. It was revealed at the end of Season 2 that the Kaelon had sent him to study humanoids and gain intelligence on the Union, though he was not completely aware of the intention of the Kaelon to basically use that to engage in a galaxy-wide campaign of what they perceive as defensive genocide. There's a backstory to them. In Season 3, Annie Winters joined as Ensign Charlie Burke. She's a human who has a 1 in a billion genetic ability to visualize space and time in higher dimensions, according to the description. In reality, most particle and physicists and experimental and theoretical physicists kind of do that already, but anyway. There's a fairly wide supporting cast of recurring characters, the most significant being Norm MacDonald as Lieutenant Yaphet, Yaphet's an amorphous shape-shifting alien who's an engineer. The aforementioned children of Dr. Finn. Larry J. Campbell played the previous chief of engineering for the first season, Lieutenant Commander Steve Newton. His character left when he took a job designing space stations. And Ted Danson has a recurring role as Admiral Perry, which is to whom Mercer reports. The setting for the Orville is the 20th century, sometime after humanity has become a post-scarce society and evolved past limiting social norms. So everyone's free to be who they want, so to speak. And no one imposes on that on anyone else. A large alliance of species has formed the Planetary Union, which is similar to the United Federation of Planets in Trek. More like TNG Trek than... more like TOS Federation than TNG Federation, by the way. Now, for the production part. Now, when reviewing the production details in this first episode, I came to a few thoughts. So, the visuals, if anything, are better than last season, right? I wonder if the budget increased because of the new deal. I couldn't find anything on that, but I'll maybe try to find that over the course of this season, if that's the case. The episode, like almost every episode of the Orville, is solid at the very minimum in terms of direction. Meaning, I can't say the direction was awesome in this, like it was in some of the previous episodes, but it was at the very least solid to top notch. So, no directing problems. The writing, the top level, there was only one little blip with this episode, which we'll get to later. Ever since the removal of the excess humor, the Orville's been on a roll in terms of writing quality, a positive roll. Acting. If I had to be critical of one aspect of the characters, it's that sometimes the character is written more like a plot device for a particular episode or subplot. And when that seems to happen, rather than use acting skills to cover it, sometimes the actor in question just seems to power their way through it. That kind of felt like how the character Charlie Burke was this episode, But I'm not saying it's an example of her character, how it's always going to be. It just seemed in, the first 16 or so episodes, or how many there were, maybe every other episode there was a character who was a plot device, and it was just they were written more as a plot device than as a character in that episode, and the actors sort of didn't use their acting skills to reclaim some ground in that regard. Special effects even better in the season opener than the last, as I mentioned above. Sound audio, they're always top notch for this show. So plot review. As I mentioned, it's impossible to talk about this without doing spoilers. This is so, so let me open with I'll go as far as I can and stop. Now, again, I'm not going to spoil the outcome of some of the later episode events. I'll allude to them if I have to, but I don't think I have to. And when I hit that full spoiler summary at the opening of the thing, I'll be very specific. So last season, the main event was the war with the Kaelon. The key element to remember from that story is that Isaac had betrayed the Union side with his people, so there was some big ambiguity there. I got the impression that there was programming that kind of manipulated him that he didn't even know about when he was doing certain things. But then Isaac betrayed his own people to help the Union and defeat the Kalan and survive. This episode takes place sometime after those events, as we are shown the Union well into recovery and rebuild. There are a lot of scenes where special effects are shown off in this episode, as characters are always looking out the windows at the massive space station the Orville is docked at. Now, let me note this as well. This is one of the last, if not the last, performance of Norm Macdonald ever, especially as Yaphet. Treasure this man's work. He's one of the truly great comedians of all time. Now, I wonder if McFarlane gave Yaphet an elevated profile at a big event in this episode to honor Macdonald, or he had written that before he even knew Macdonald was dying. You know? The entire plot of this episode is about dealing with the personal ramifications of the effects of the Kalan War. The opener is Marcus Finn having a nightmare back in the war where he was terrorized, at least in his dreams, by Isaac. We see a series of unfolding events that establish a tone. Isaac returns to his lab to find the word murderer painted on the wall in red. That investigation leads to a surprising perpetrator. There's an excellent scene in terms of how it was written, directed, and performed. While Isaac goes to the mess hall and asks if he can sit with some of the crew members. They say yes, but then immediately leave. Then the new main character, Ensign Charlie Burke, shows up, and immediately think, oh, okay, so they were acting like morons, and she's going to sort of be the character that smooths it out a little for Isaac, and maybe attempts to bridge it or whatever. But then she goes into a personal anecdote, and Isaac notes that Quimby was destroyed, which is the ship. She's a survivor of the ship, the Quimby, and immediately transitions into a dark moment as they show a flashback where Burke and her best friend had made it to an escape pod, but unfortunately the escape pod malfunctioned, and someone had to stay behind to eject it from the ship. So her friend is the one to do that, and Quimby is still angered and horrified by the fact that her friend had died. So Burke unloads on Isaac how much she hates him and how much everyone on board hates him. And that sets the trend of what Isaac experiences in this episode. Now, later, after some intermediate events, we have Captain Mercer addressing the issue of her comments to Isaac. She's unrepentant. And I'm going to say this much. It's not written badly why she's unrepentant. And Mercer addresses it appropriately throughout the episode, I'll put it that way. Now, some may quibble at Mercer breaking command discipline in this particular scene. But remember, if you've never watched the show before, this is in his character, meaning this is how he relates to people. He likes to form a bit of a personal bond with all the crew to sort of say, so some experience of his that may relate to them or allow them to understand his decision-making a little better. Okay, so that I kind of like that, right? And then Mercer, but Mercer doesn't get personal with it, right? He doesn't go into any of his, his personal emotional why he might want to bring Isaac back. He goes strictly to an intellectual military reason. He says, Mercer states outright he had misgivings about reactivating Isaac, but at a fundamental level he has included in order to defeat the Kalan, he thinks that they will need Isaac. Again, I think it's great how Mercer keeps his personal feelings, which he probably has in terms of wanting Isaac back, but he's trying to show he made a military-based decision, and he's kind of bond with her and say, look, you may have this personal problem, but you have to come. I think you suggest you should bridge the gap and say, look, try to be professional about this. We need Isaac to do what we have to do. She is like totally nope. She was brought in because she was accused. Because they wanted to reprimand her or discuss why she went off on him in the mess hall. So that theme continues forward throughout the episode. Isaac is continually subjected to emotional abuse as he goes about his duties, and also a point that I will make no further comment about until my episode 2 review. Now, there was a sort of contrived event near the end of this episode, but it was minor and kind of within the plot that it could have happened. It just felt a little contrived the way that it did. So that's the only real negative on this episode. So my final thoughts, after more than a year of waiting, we got a great start to Season 3. There was a lot of fear in the fan base that the delay of political pressure in Hollywood will cause the Orville to turn to crap like a lot of franchises have, but Seth MacFarlane has held strong. This episode was a 9.7 out of 10. That one contrived event in which I mentioned, which I'll talk about in the spoiler part of the next review, it will catch me 10 out of 10 for this episode. Comment down below if you have any questions for me about this video. Please share your thoughts. Share this video if you enjoyed it. Like if you like, dislike if you dislike. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. My name is Matt. This has been on Rebel 73. Have a nice day. I am out of here.